Hey guys, Tarke here, and we're going to go through the patch notes to be both done live on Twitch and uploaded to YouTube afterwards, so hello to wherever you're finding it in the respective universe. Now, we've already gone through half of these notes before, just FYI. We tried revealing this live yesterday, but my ISP was cutting out every 10 seconds. Cheers for the follow. I'm really bad at pointing at things, I've noticed. Cheers for the follow, bro, and this won't be my complete first reaction. We have already gone through this a few times, but my internet kept constantly cutting out, so we're going through it again. There. Challenge leagues are a great opportunity. We don't really need to read any of this. This is just like telling you there'll be software on hardcore versions. They're going to be doing stuff with the legacy and access to old items. You can find and equip up to 3 league stones at once, which turn the next area you enter into a supercharged version of all of those leagues. League stones can drop with modifiers, which make those areas both more challenging and more rewarding. If you've ever wanted to fight a triple essence avian wretch holding a talisman while corrupting tempest is active, now's your chance to rip in hardcore. Many of Path of Exile's most desirable unique items were only available during past leagues. In the Legacy League, when a league stone is active, you have a chance to find unique items from that league. We've reviewed league-specific uniques dating back to the first challenge leagues, and have improved many that we felt were not relevant to the current state of Path of Exile. So while Chevron's Revelation, Headhunter, Scald's Bridle, and more within your grasp, they may not be the only ones you want. Interesting. Players in the Legacy League may find a special item that placed on the map device that allows travel to a reliquary. These treasure chambers contain a chest that can drop a relic. A special alternate frame version of an iconic unique from Path of Exile's history, restored to its original balance values. There are over 40 different relics to find. You will not get Legacy Combs Heart on day 1. Everyone who thinks you're going to have a Legacy Combs Heart, you're not going to have a fucking Legacy Combs Heart. And the powerful ones will be very rare. You'll never have one. We're mindful of the impact these could have on existing Legacy items, so these will be clearly identifiable and skipping that word rare. We spent about 10 minutes on that one yesterday. I'm dyslexic. With new challenge leagues included a set of 40 new challenges. When you complete 12 challenges, you'll receive the Legacy Footprints effect. Gold footprints. At 24, you'll receive the Legacy Weapon effect. We already have 12 of these. When you complete the 36th challenge, you'll receive the Beta Legacy Portal effect, which is actually pretty cool. From the 19th challenge onwards, and for every 3rd challenge after that, you'll receive pieces of the Legacy Totem Pole decoration to spare in your hideout. Don't go above 37 unless you're definitely getting 40 out of 40, because that box looks stupid. Solo Self-Found is called Common Self-Found for no reason, where trading and partying are not allowed. This means that your character's progression is entirely based on your own efforts and cannot be influenced by others. In Content Update 2.6.0, there are common self-found variations of the existing leagues, where you can create characters by ticking a checkbox in the character creation screen. I still don't know why that's there. This mode is available once you've reached the sign on your account, which can be done in a previous league, so almost all existing players will have already fulfilled this. Basically, this is to stop new players from accidentally getting stuck in solo self-found. New players already get stuck in permanent leagues, so that's a bad thing. You are able to convert your solo self-found characters into regular characters, non-common characters, moving them back to the equivalent non-common solo self-found league. There is a one-way process and can be done by clicking the buttons to the left of the character on the character selection screen. Little brothers are going to be trolling their older brothers. People are going to be messing with their friends by jumping shit all over the place. One button moves just a single character, and the other one moves all of your common solo self-found characters in that league, including your stashes, hideout masters, and atlas progression, to the non-common equivalent. Ladders on the website record what level you reached in solo self-found before moving back to the regular leagues. Characters that have moved back to the regular leagues are marked as retired. Solo self-found leagues share their global chat channels with their non-solo self-found equivalent. Basically, you troll the fuck out of people in solo self-found by linking all your legacy items. They have no access to trade chat channels. Lionized Watcher now has stairs. Now, this is huge, but I do still find it amusing. I've read this like 3 times now. I find it very amusing that this is a major feature. Added 12 new unique threshold jewels. Added 12 new unique items, 6 of which are designed by our supporters. Added new unique Strongbox Waylam's War Chest, added 5 new Rogue Exiles, added 4 new Divination cards, added 25 new Grandmasters, updated and replaced several others. Syosa now sells all quest gems once you've completed his quest, and the quest required to unlock the appropriate tiers of gem rewards. People will no longer mock me for doing library. This is huge. The purchase items vendor screen now allows you to highlight items by keyword. The passive skill tree can now be searched by keyword. The friends and guild screen can now sort online contacts alphabetically, and offline contacts by last offline time. This is really good for purging friends list. The first bit I don't care about, but this is nice. I've got friends going back to the beta, and it's hard to tell which of them are actually active. The second this goes live, I'm just like culling my friends list. Beautiful. You can now filter the friends and guild screens by name to find specific contacts. Improve game performance, load time, and memory usage. Otherwise known as, we are going to have very bad performance until we've had patch notes to fix our improvements. Whenever GGG has ever said they've improved game performance, we've had lag for a few weeks. Hopefully they've got it ironed out this time, but I would not be surprised. Still, it's good to know that they're working on that stuff. Minor features and content. Items are now destroyed when they hit the ground in areas where items can't be dropped on the ground, such as towns. Tempests capable of harming a player now only spawn in the vicinity of alive monsters. Willeran Demon Tamer now has more MTX. Some types of shrines now affect all nearby allied players when active. That's really nice. Change the explosion effect. That affects the one person playing Molten Shell. Improve the performance. See previous comment. This is just broken. Unset rings can now roll a new mod that increases the level of the socketed gems by up to 3. Basically, purity is on a budget, which is nice. The Nihilist item prefix that gave +1 to socketed chaos gems now appears on level 4 items and above, down from level 40. Added a new mod, Anarchist, that grant +2. Interesting, very, very interesting. I'm not sure how much use this will realistically see, but it's a nice little change. Divinus strongboxes can now only spawn in maps. I never really understood this at all, but okay. Like, I don't understand it the first time I read it. I still don't understand it now. You don't encounter Diviners very often, and you always encountered more during leveling than in maps anyway. So unless they've also buffed the rate that you find them, you're basically never going to find them. The Brinerat mod found with Brinerat Warbands now grants damage during Flask effects, double dips, instead of rarity during Flask effect. This is because the rarity mod was overshadowed by the fact that you could already get rarity on gloves and unique items. This new stat is more valuable, usable, and competes with the Red Blade / Mute Wind mods better. Good for double dipping. Spectral Wolves summoned by unique items such as Rigwald's Quest and the Scourge now have 80% more life. They are now the same size as the player. This is good. When they buff frogs, that was a performance improvement. So they've buffed wolves, performance improvement. Yeah. I've now lost my train of thoughts. They have unit collision. Basically, they seem a bit better and they make noises when they attack things. The Other Allies Cannot Die mod can no longer appear on immobile monsters such as Eye Hatchery or Rakingos. Very nice change. The Fall now does more damage and Cruel and Merciless. Reduced monster spectral throw damage. Was anyone complaining about that? Substantially reducing the size of apprentice packs for both balance and performance reasons. Feels bad, man, but hopefully actual performance improvements. Feels good, man. The Docks Unique's monster, the Revenant, has been renamed the Shipyard Terror. The Riverways unique monster Cal Foxfly has been renamed to Targa Beast Poacher. The Northern Forest unique monster Tailslinger has been renamed Celeslava. Celeslava. I feel like they could have swapped about a lot of A's and E's. If they put an E on the end, it'd be Celeslav. Tailslinger is a better name. The Sewers unique monster Spinesnap has been renamed Gloomgut. The Climb's unique monster Guardian of the Mound has been renamed Ungolath. Okay. All sort of doesn't make sense, but go for it. Ice Crash has had its damage increased by 13% at level 1 and has slightly improved damage progression as the gem levels. The second stage now deals 10% less damage, down from 15%. The third stage now deals 20% less damage, down from 30%. Sure. Sunder has had its primary damage increased by 40% at level 1 and has slightly improved damage progression as the gem levels. The secondary Shockwave now deals 40% of base damage, down from 70%. So the initial's better, but the secondary is worse. So, slight buff. Blade Flurry has had its damage reduced by 18% at all levels. Yeah. Magma Orb's explosion rates have increased by 20%. Probably not a buff, this probably just makes up for the AoE nerfs. Animate Weapon Skill now has a cap of 50. That really sucks. Wild Strike now has 100% conversion. Maybe usable. Flame Surge now has approximately 40% less mana cost at all levels. This is huge. It never made sense how much it cost before. Orb of Storms now has a base duration of 6 seconds, down from 10. Pretty minor change. It's basically just makes the skill less fun to use because you need to drop it more often in long encounters. So I really dislike this change because they could have just made it smaller or something. Instead, they've just made it worse. So, Ray zombies now have a melee attack range of 9 on their base attack up from 4. They're really trying to make zombies work. Probably still not going to be usable for damage, but they're definitely a lot better now for people who want to use them. Their slam is more visible and has 25% larger radius. Sure. Vigilant Strike now grants 75% increased fortified duration. No one's realistically going to use Vigilant Strike unless they're using it with the Threshold jewel to try and get like 20-second long fortifiers on Bond, Bow, and Wonder builds, but not really going to happen. Val Haste, when you just read this bit, it doesn't seem that bad. But the fact they've made it only a 4 seconds instead of a 6 second is horrible. I'd rather they kept the old values and nerfed it harder, but this just feels really bad. Val Discipline, I agree with being nerfed. It was too good. If you disagree, then you don't understand balance. You can now only have 1 instance of Blade Vortex active at a time. It was pretty bugged before, so this is... it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Vitality Void / Spirit Void move the Mana Leech combined passive to the bottom. So if we quickly jump over, it will be like here now. So if you root through the bottom, it'll link through the combined one, which makes rooting through the top worse, question mark. It's an odd change in my opinion. Thick Skin cluster now attaches to the outside. We've seen that before, which is very, very good. The Slashing, Comeback, Fatal Blade, and Brutal Blade clusters have been merged. This is just nice quality of life. The Flash Freeze cluster now has a second arc for increased cold damage with weapons and converting physical damage to cold damage. We need to know how good this conversion is to really evaluate the wheel. But again, that will be going here. So it'll have a second line off this way. Potentially good for everyone who wants to play Ice Shot with the new Ice Shot conversion. Force of Nature cluster has been moved to between range and shadow on the inner path. Inner path could be anything. This could be inner path. This could be inner outer path. We're guessing it'll be somewhere along here. In most cases, this will be quite a big nerf because most builds route through this way. So unless it's very accessible, that seems like an odd change to me. A new weapon elemental damage wheel has been added to the southeast corner of the tree. This is a large source of weapon elemental damage to provide support to more of a range-oriented elemental skills. So basically, they're going to throw it in like here, which seems odd. So it's going to be within a point, or it's going to be somewhere in like this corner. So it's going to be pretty close to where Force of Nature used to be. And then they've moved this here. So why not put the new one in there? Just, I don't know. It seems odd, but potentially very powerful. The area between Ranger and Shadow has been changed. A number of the more expensive weapon classes have been reduced to 3 points to be more efficient. Hopefully, it's actually easy to root through them. The Revenge of the Hunted and Void Barrier class is now more accessible. I made a meme that they need to get rid of this dex node, put it here, and put a bridge here, and then link skills this way and that way. Link that way, that way. Like, if you get rid of this node, put it here. If they've done that, PogChamp. And if that is what they've done, you have me to thank. Master Fletcher has been removed and replaced by Avatar of the Hunt. Avatar of the Hunt is actually a really nice cluster. This is Avatar of the Hunt. It's Fizz damage, move speed, Fizz damage, move speed, Fizz damage, move speed. So this is moving here. Not many builds route up this way, but you can route up this way, get nice Fizz nodes now, get some life, get some skill effect duration. Could maybe see use. And for the record, you do take the Fizz nodes in conversion builds, so if Ellie conversion becomes a thing, those nodes might become a thing. Blood Drinker Life Leech is now generic damage. This is huge. Mind Drinker Manage is generic damage. This is less huge. It's always like 3 points to get this, and any build which is close to there is generally close to this, which you'd rather get for 1 point. But for the build which needs it, it's buff, and this is basically just 0.4% leech added to every attack build ever, so that's huge because everything routes through that. The large claw wheel has been generally improved and now offers more critical strike. Soul Raker Life and Manage is now generic damage, good. Nightsword Cluster now also contains a total of 3 passive skills, cool. Claws of the Falcon Cluster now give a higher chance of claw critical, yep, which is slightly better now. Arcing Blaze Cluster has been moved, is now joined with Crackling Speed, they've just combined these two. So they've just combined this and this, which makes sense. They're close to each other. They kind of did the same things, just one for attacks, one for casters. Mind Over Matter has been moved. It's still connected to the same passive, though. I'm guessing that what they've done is they've just flipped it somewhere, but it's still connected to here, so it's in the same place. And it has new modes behind it, which increase mana. In the explosive impact cluster is now cheaper to acquire the notable skill. The two paths to it now differ. One is combined increased fire damage and increased cast speed with fire skills. Good, I guess. Zert's Oath has been repositioned to the perimeter of the tree. Interesting. The staff wheel to the left of Templar has been improved. A third notable has been added, which focuses on improved critical strikes. This should be accessible to all critical strikes orientated staff builds. Basically, Hedgie's got buffed. The Razor's Edge passive skill now grants 30% increased physical damage with swords and 50% chance to cause bleeding. This also has +1 to melee weapon range. This is the biggest thing. Anything which gives plus to melee weapon range is huge. Like, crazy huge. Remove the passive skills behind Razor's Edge and Blade Master. All these sword nodes have been tweaked with, so that's fine. Blade Master passive skill and passive support have been improved. Blade Master now grants a flat 200 accuracy. This is really big. Flat accuracy is nearly always better than %. This is huge. Master of Force has been moved and made cheaper to acquire. This also now provides a 10% reduced reflect physical damage taken. Depending on where this gets moved to, and if by cheaper it's like, I'm guessing it's 3 now, because they said they made a lot of these ones 3. If it's accessible, you might get some like assassin builds taking it. Ash, Frost, and Sword now provides 10% reduced reflect elemental damage taken. No damage buffs, which is kind of disappointing, because these are just kind of bad nodes. It's like 10, 10, 10, 10, and reduced reflect. It's something, but I speculate that reflect damage isn't going to be an issue once you have the Pantheon system, because you can target into reduced elemental damage taken, and that would just be more powerful. So if you're a Lightning Inquisitor, you can just take 5% less lightning damage. Sure. Aspect of the Eagle and pass between it and Ballistic Motion, I give bow damage %, not physical. This is really big. So this used to be a good node to take in anything which did Fizz Conversion. This was an amazing 2-pointer because you got some Fizz Deep, some attack speed, then 20% Fizz Deeps, 20% accuracy, and some speed, and a teeny weeny bit of life. This is now generic bow damage. It won't double dip, but it will scale your chaos damage. It will scale your elemental damage. This is just really good. So yeah, it's just really good. Revenge of the Hunted has been moved and now grants 8% increased maximum life. Now they've said that they've made this more accessible. We don't know if this cluster has been moved, or let me just turn that down a little bit. That's a tad loud. We don't know if this cluster has been moved, or they've just moved Revenge of the Hunted somewhere along this wheel. They've buffed up to 8%. Again, they're just taking Tarke tips for days. Feels good, man. The Blade of the Cunning cluster has been improved. Cool. The Hatchet Master cluster has been improved. Cool. Prism Weave now grants 30% increased elemental damage with wands, up from 20%. Soul of Steel is now cheaper to acquire. The two paths to it now differ. One is combined increased armor and Ellie Res. Very good. Soul of Steel was powerful for the build which took it, but not many builds really took it. So yeah. Celerity now has 5% increased attack and cast speed. This is the cluster that you sometimes took. In Queen of the Forest builds, it's this cluster. So it will now also have some attack and cast speed on the bottom, so it's just a nice little buff to that. Very niche, but for the builds which take it, they've now got a little bit of extra quality of life. Seems good. Blast Cascade now has a 15% chance. We've now turned the music down too low. Feels bad, man. Blast Cascade now has a 15% chance to gain a power charge when your mine is detonated, targeting an enemy. Sure. The Of Rust map, basically they've made these mods less dance game. That's all over the place. They've made these mods less dance game, which is good. And they've made this worse, which I don't really understand. This is like a very significant increase in dance game. And the main thing which I find surprising is not only have they kind of just gone, screw you, they've gutted AoE. We all know they've gutted AoE in this patch, right? And they haven't made the AoE mod any less frustrating. And the AoE mod was one of the worst mods to run. It just makes your build feel infinitely worse. So in a meta where your AoE has been nerfed just because they've rebalanced AoE, and then they haven't changed the map mods, it's like you're never running an AoE reduction map on an AoE build, because that's just going to really make you feel terrible. Unique threshold jewels that apply to specific skills have had that attribute required reduced to 40. We knew this, and they no longer require the attributes to be allocated. It's really nice. Volley Fire is PogChamp with this. Steel Spirit now grants 5% increased damage spectral throw. I'm still not sure about this. Maybe it's for each enemy hit. Like, maybe. The rapid expansion unique threshold now grants 35% increased angle of ground slam. It's really nice for anyone playing ground slam in 2K17. This is still bad. Even though it's good, you're still playing a Vibe Strike build. Animate Weapon got dicked with, so while this is kind of nice, it's not that nice. Switch response is now limited to 2. The visual now gives you and your allies Fortify for 20 seconds. If you want to be super gimmick, you put this on a weapon swap to get 20 seconds on Fortifies on range builds. But I don't know if that's worth sacrificing a duel for and the gimmick of weapon swap. You can now get 100% Soul Eater on 100% Soul Eater on Spectres. Pretty good. Volley Fire is now limited to 3. This is a side nerf. Most builds wouldn't go above 3 anyway, but they're now much easier to activate. This is basically has like given 2 skill points to every place that you put it. Because you used to put 1 in here, you had to root through loads of wasted points to activate the 50. So you've gained like 1 skill point here, you've gained like 2 skill points here, potentially. And you've gained skill points here, gained skill points here. So you probably put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, or here. So that's a buff to Volley Fire. You only really need 2, so that's good. Weight of the Empire is now limited to 2. The Winter's Bounty now grants a 50% chance close up to grant a power charge on kill. Even with 100%, this is still bad. Yeah, 93, that was just a mistake from when it was still a life variant. There's some other threshold jewel changes in their effect balance. No. Weapon balance changes. All one-handed weapons have had their base damage increased. That's all, including daggers. Lower level weapons, weapons with lower crit chance, and weapons with lower value implicit have had their damage increased by a higher value. Local added fizz damage to one-handed weapons have their values increased by 10%. They've missed out a lot of changes in these notes, so if you see something not being buffed, which they've announced being buffed, just assume they've missed out. There are a lot of things missing from these notes, so don't freak out too much. Weapon critical strike chance have been adjusted. Not sure how I feel about this in practice. We kind of need to play with it. So, yeah. Two-handed swords have had their weapon speed increased. Depends how much their damage has been reduced. Cheers to the Flyman. Many one-handed weapon two-handed swords now grant flat accuracy. This is huge. This is the big one. This is like whatever. This is the nice one. Dagger and bliss have been reduced. I kind of agree with this change, but I still think it's a pretty heavy-handed slap in the face. The main reason I like it is the implicits are closer together. That's really the only reason I like it. Lower level claw base types that previously granted life leech now grant life gain on hits. It makes sense because leech does nothing at low levels, so yeah. Marikath close cause now have separate life mana, blah 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 blah. Thrusting swords now have more chance to bleed. Sure. They dicked the crit multi really hard, like really hard. Feels bad, man. Not sure about that. It depends how hard they buff the base fizz. It's an overall nerf for Ellie build, non-conversion Ellie builds, may I say. Giving the stun threshold to maces is very huge. Very, very, very huge. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm still recovering from a cold. Staffs being buffed block-wise is nice. Right. I'm telling you now, we read this yesterday, and everyone has seen this. The air effect balance changes, they've changed things. I'm just skipping through it, because it's not even worth reading, in all honesty. You just need to play with it and see how it feels. Right. Deadeye, if you take no AoE in the tree, this is like a 2% buff, but this I'm just going to trust. Saboteur maybe got nerfed, maybe didn't get nerfed. Some people agree, disagree. All items with reduced grants increase area of their skills now got increased area of effect at the same value. Sure. Sure. Sure, again, the area changes, you can get, if you read them, if you look at them too heavily, you just get stuck, so that's why we're skipping through them. Okay. Right. Valkyries. Cold resistance mod increased to 40%. Very nice. Maximum life mod increased to 50 to 70. Very, very nice. Brine Rock Whalers. These did not need buffing. These were already very powerful and saw a lot of use. And now they give more Moonseed and more energy shield. So they're really good. Mute Wind Whisper Steps increased Moonseed increased to 25%. Critical strike chance with spells increased to 57%. And a Cold spells increased. Again, these saw some niche use. They're not as easy to just throw into things as Brine Rock Whalers, but these are still pretty good. Valakos Sign. Chance of shock. Mod increased to 10%. Increased damage versus shocked enemies increased to 40%. Still probably not going to see any use. You're still playing a shock build. So, yeah, no. Barracks Grip. This has basically just been made more usable, and the leech is in a nicer combination. It's much easier to shock than it is to freeze things without heavy investment. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Barracks Pass. Increased fire damage increased. Added cold damage increased. Cool. Your Friend's Trickery no longer grants Shocked Ground when hits a 10% chance. Now has a triggered spell called Shocked Ground that casts when you hit. Basically, they've just changed the wording, and now it's a spell. They did the same thing with the Consecration Ring. And this was the thing which makes no sense to me. So I complained about this a little bit earlier, but I want to quickly talk about this. So, Death's Opus was a higher DPS bow than Reach of the Council. It just was. But Tarke, what about non-crit builds? They don't exist. Non-crit bow builds don't exist unless you're doing Start of League. Okay. The non-crit builds use Lionized Glare. They always use Lionized Glare. This affects like that one dude. This is the only build which actually gets fucked by this is Budget King of the Forest. If you do non-crit Berserker, you got dicked on for no good reason. No good reason at all. So for crit builds, this wasn't worth using. For non-crit builds, this was like BIS. So the only non-crit bow builds I can think of which would use this are ones which care about double dipping, which are poison builds. So basically this just nerfs that one Berserker build and screws over everyone else who wanted to use it. Opus was always better. The people who used it were people who didn't want the extra DPS. So, yes, this is just a bad item. And it was the only reason people farmed the Pale Council, because while Breath of the Council is a good weapon, it's far too niche to be the only reason you farm it. So, basically there is no reason whatsoever to farm Pale Council. This doesn't make any sense to me. I want to personally meet and talk to the person who... I want to know why this change had to happen, because it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. I am genuinely really interested as to why this happened. And I'm not even salty about it, because it's a weapon I never used. I used it literally twice since it came out, and I'm someone who only plays bow builds. I play like 70% bow builds, and I've used this twice, because Death's Opus is just better. Really, if they're adding a new bow which does the same thing, then I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. So you can get the foil version. Okay, this is an assumption. I don't think you can get foil versions because this is from a prophecy chain, right? It's from a prophecy chain, and it's like upgrades. I don't think you can get legacy prophecy items because they come from a very specific loot table. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. But whatever. Brine Rock Flag, we've already seen this. It's now a nice weapon swap weapon to generate power charges. You use it at the start of the map, get your power charges up, weapon swap. It's kind of gimmicky, but people used to do the same thing with shields. So, there, you know the trap shield? Yeah, sure. Red Blade Banner is really good now, but we've already seen it. But yeah, this is a really, really nice shield now. Mewwind Pennant, I'm actually not that sure about this item. I think this might be a nerf to some builds. Some builds did legitimately use this in Abyssal Cry, but it no longer has the increased chaos damage, no longer has additional level to Warcry gems, no longer has onslaught and killing torn enemies, now has 25% increased Warcry effect. Is that better? I don't know. And does gain onslaught on using Warcry. That is nice. Gaining the onslaught on use is good. I don't know. Red Blaze Trumpus now has life, increasing speed mods. It's just a very nice improvement. Right, this is a weird one. Has more damage added to spells, chance to freeze increased to 10%, and has physical damage added to versus frozen enemies, and has 20% reduced chill duration on itself. Now has a bunch of cold damage against chilled enemies, now has 50% chance to avoid chill. Leveling weapon at best. I don't know, maybe you would use it in like a Piscator build. Maybe a Piscator build would be good. But that's very niche. It's still not really, it's not seeing use. No one's like, oh, Pogchamp. Nahama's Sign, chance to ignite mod increases 10%. Chance to ignite is always nice. Added fire damage now added to attacks and spells. No longer has life gain on hitting igniting enemies, now has 23 life gain on igniting an enemy. So that is generally a buff. If you're consistently critting, this is a buff. But it gives you a chance to ignite, so this is generally going to be used in a non-crit build, if you're going to use it at all. And those builds generally don't have a 100% increased ignite chance, they have like 50%. So I would say this is actually a nerf for non-crit, buff for crit. But you're only ever going to use it as a leveling weapon, or like a budget start of league weapon in a crit ignite build, so I don't know. Thank you very much for the host, man. We're going through the passive patch notes again, because we tried to do this yesterday, but our internet kept dropping, so we're going through it from scratch. But we've got a lot more thoughts on all of the items now, so we're mostly just complaining at this point. Complaining and hyping up items. Broken Faith no longer has reduced block chance, now has 5% increased chance to block, now has property gain on home life for 10 seconds on block, no longer has increased damage on no energy shield, now has 100% increased global armor on no energy shield. Basically, it's really good. 10 seconds of an Unholy Might is very, very powerful. Troll Timber. See, this is an interesting one. So, getting the leech to the player is nice. Most people who are doing these kinds of builds, though, would just be doing Chieftain. And a lot of them would be using the shield, which gave them an additional totem. So, potentially nice for some builds. It gives more diversity to the totem leech meta, which is nice. But overall, I'm not too sure on how much use this will realistically see. Crown of the Pale King is now better for the builds who want to use it, but they're still not going to see much use. Did they acknowledge the fact the patch notes basically is missing all T's content? The patch notes are missing so much stuff. If you see something which is missing, don't worry about it. They're just really bad at writing patch notes. Just don't worry about it. Right, this is interesting. So, this is potentially really good. Thanks, Wins. Lightning damage up to 25 to 30%. Added fire damage. Now shocks all nearby. So we're assuming this will be a 12-yard radius, because that's normally what they go as their default when they give prolif on items. So if you shock one enemy, it shocks everything within 12 yards. Pretty good. Now ignites all nearby enemies on killing an ignited enemy. So it's not as good, because it's not just like you instantly ignite and it prolifs. You have to kill something with an ignite and then it prolifs. So maybe good. Maybe yards down game. You know what I mean, it's 12. Maybe good. It really depends. Could be good. Yeah, and that's important. They did also confirm it doesn't refresh ignite duration. So it is a weaker prolif, but it is still a prolif effect, which is very powerful without any like damage nerfs, and it still comes with pretty good damage. So yeah, that's like huge. Gifts from above. This is just like a really good item. This is a very good item. So when you crit, you drop Consecrated Ground, which gives you 50% increased damage. and give you 5% block. So, yeah. You get 50% increased damage, which double dips. So this is insane. And you get a bunch of block chance. So if you're playing like some gladiator build, I don't know, Blade Flurry added chaos. I mean, who would do that, right? Buy these rings. These rings are gonna be really, really expensive. This is like Mathel bait. Like, this is like, okay, so anyone who played Breach knows that at the start of Breach, Sin's Rebirth were going for like 20 chaos. Literally, they were going for like 20 chaos for about 3 or 4 days until people went, hang on, that's really good. This is really good. So, get these for cheaps. Just saying. Just saying. The Gull now has good shit. They actually missed the interesting thing about it. Basically, it generates shrines, which is pretty cool. Edge of Madness is now legitimately a shield. Someone did the maths on it, but basically, it now has a lot of fizz damage. So, yeah. I bought Sin's Day 2 for 20 chaos. Yeah, exactly, man. So, yeah. Basically, it's good now, which is nice. It's not just a skin transfer. Shaft Revelation, we knew about this. It's broken, though. Death's Rush is now really good. Which is good. Blood of the Karui. Some people are, like, hype about this flask. I was kind of hype about this flask, but it's meh. It's outshadowed. Forbidden Taste is bae. Forbidden Taste was bae for me before it was cool. I played Forbidden Taste in 3 builds this league, in Breach, and it was really good. And now it's even better. So yeah, you would always use that over this. The Rat Cage. Now, I actually think that this is maybe good. I'm not sure, though. It is so hard to tell if it's a good item, right? So, it was like kind of, I saw 1 or 2 builds use it in the past. So it gives you a lot of life. It gives you up to 200 maximum life, which is good, right? This was always the big thing, but it gave you 200 maximum life. It gave you 50% increase in speed. Movement speed is huge. Like, people go crazy for movement speed. Movement speed is really good. It still has 20% increased fire damage taken. It's still, like, this is important. It still has that. This mod is what makes me unsure if it's usable or not. Because the kind of builds which want to use this are kind of going to be evasion based, right? You're not really going to use this in a build like the build that wants to use this is like an acro build. It's like an acro build wants to use this item because they want the juicy life and they want the movement speed, right? Like the build that wants to use this is like a bow build. But then more fire damage taken is physical. It's just I wouldn't be surprised if it's used in like some Innocence builds, some custom damage taken builds, but it will see use in custom damage taken builds. But you know, it was very close to actually being like a niche use for evasion, very very nearly. But it's better now. It's better. And now is the additional 25% chance to cast animate weapon on kill. This is good. So this is basically mini Hands of Wisdom in action. This is another item to buy. So just buy these. Worst case scenario, you buy these and you have new leveling weapons. That's the worst case. Best case is you buy these and you sell them. The cat's going to run across the desk. Brian Rock Mark, no longer supported by level 15 consecrated effects. No longer supported by level 15. Basically, all of these are now maybe good. Maybe good. Maybe not. I don't know. They just do golem shit now. Knight's Hold is less of a leveling item, but it's still a leveling item. This is a change which doesn't make sense to me. Because the whole point of Knight's Hold was you used it as a good leveling weapon. Leveling amulet. You throw like totems in there, traps in there, whatever. Channeled skills. And it's still a good leveling, but it's just less of a good leveling weapon, which is kind of like... amulet, sorry, so it's like, why did you change it? It's just... It's another one which, like, it just doesn't make sense. It's a change which just doesn't make sense. It's not as bad as, you know, we're just going to randomly sexually assault Reach of the Council for no good reason. But it's just, like, a change which doesn't make sense to me. Sintrek. Sintrek is already, like, a decent starter pair of boots. Now they're a really good starter pair of boots. This is nuts, right? So this gives Ghost Reaver. It's a claw which gives Ghost Reaver and now has good base damage on it. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Particular spam, reduce physical damage taken for physical attacks, mode change 50 to 80. Projectile, sorry. It's a lot better than it was, which is nice. Fox Shade. This doesn't really do anything, but sure. Terran Shiver is now potentially good again. This is Bay. This is another item to watch out for. Now, it's going to be hard getting a good one because the variance on the rolls are so high. Like 10 to 30, 10 to 30, 10 to 30, 10 to 30. You don't really care about the rarity roll on it. But, again, this is a really nice ring because it's double dips. It's double dipping damage. If you have, like, one of these on a build... Because this thing, like, how often is it that it's one of those things of like, oh, my build really needs, like, some int. You just buy one of these, if you get a good one, and it's just like, it just sits there as a nice little ring, and it fixes out all your requirements, it fixes out all of your resists going into early mapping. This is, like, a really nice early mapping ring for life builds. And for some CI builds, you could argue that you could probably get away with just using it if you can make good use of the double dipping. It's really good. And also, this is like a very nice rarity ring for MFers, which actually isn't shit, because it gives good damage. Most of the MF items have, like, no damage, no defense. This has really good damage, and it has juicy resists. Sibyl's Lament. I already use Sibyl's Lament. I used Sibyl's Lament in some Inquisitor builds before, because it was actually a good ring. People really undervalued it, and now it's a better ring for what it was. So... it had some life. This is this thing. If a unique item has 20 to 30 life on it, it's worth using. Because it's better than nothing. The difference between something having like 30 life and no life is huge. No quantity though, so no one's going to do MF. Right, this is the thing. You say no quantity though, but it's like a perfect stepping stone. Because a lot of the MFers, they struggle capping out all their resists, because like certain things they want to use fucks with their resist, or fucks with this, fucks with that. So it's a nice stepping stone. It's a nice stepping stone for MF. If you want to do MF but still have some damage, you can use it as an option. It's a stepping stone item for maps. It's amazing for leveling. It's just a really good item. But yeah, so it's got some life, which is decent. It has good wed roll. Has decent flat Ellie roll, which is nice. The reduced rarity doesn't matter too much. And then, yeah, had 30% reduced Ellie reflect, now it's 40%. So, it's just better. It's good. Risk Rat is just a better leveling item, but still not really going to be used because it just gets overshadowed by Tabula. So, yeah. Option's always good when they do this stuff to reach council. Yeah, so it's like, yeah. Gang's Momentum, still probably not going to see any use, but increased chance to ignite is always nice. Most OP change in notes now stairs. Prison Weave. This is pretty nice buff. But still, it's not going to see that much use. Restless Ward. Right, Restless Ward, I think, was an undervalued item. We actually had the designer of the Unique in the stream yesterday. He was chatting about it. It's now better. So, yeah. It's an item which was already good, but underused, is now better. So, if people use it, good for you. It's just a really nice item. One thing which is important is it gives you life regen. Life regen is meta. The reason why life regen is meta is Forbidden Taste. You want life regen in your life build. You do not want to be well packed because you have a 100% heal flask with 2 uses. So yeah, this is really good as a stepping stone item to get enough regen to run Forbidden Taste. Use it. Princess. No one really cares. No one really cares. It's still an awkward item because the kind of builds which use this are already close to Zealot's Oath anyway. Maybe someone will use it, but who cares? 3-step assault. I had to double check this yesterday. This is still worse than its Ares. So basically what they did is they made an item which was worse than its Ares step, and then they've buffed it, and now it's still worse than its Ares step. So yeah. Seems good. Seems good. Dewedri's tenure, maximum shield increased to 32. It's pretty good. It's pretty good for leveling. Lana's Remorse has a lot of life on it now. That is pretty good. So, yeah. Pretty good. Sword Mantle. Pretty good. Still awkward as hell to use. Yeah, Eldo. Again, I was using Forbidden Taste last league, and it was usable. It is now very usable. So, yeah. It's good. Go on my YouTube, search Forbidden Taste. You can see how I was using it. And I was showing you, I was using it on a Pathfinder. And you need to remember, Pathfinders have increased flask effect, which had increased effect on the degen. And I was easily doing, like, vulnerability maps. Thank you, Cat, for walking across my table. The chat really likes that. Easily using it. Within like 30% chaos res. It's like face roll. It's really good. I'm using it in all of my life builds next league. Voidbringer, Kongor's terrible item, but now less terrible. Duresso's Defiance, right. Duresso's Defiance was much like Restless Ward. It was a very nice like starter chest. Really nice starter chest. It's an item to look out for. If you're playing any kind of evasion, sort of right side of the tree build, just pick it up. This is like the perfect item that you pick up at the start of a league for like a chaos or two, and it just walks you through maps. Now, it's really good. They've just doubled it. Yes, my exact words were they sexually assaulted reached the council. Forbidden Taste. Like, when these patch notes went live, well, actually, no, they announced that this got buffed before. I had about 4 or 5 people hit me up in the PMs, the DMs. I had like 4 or 5 people just hit me up in the DMs saying, yo, dude, this is OP. Yeah, I already know, but Marlene's Fallacy is OP as well. It's really good. Basically, this is really good. Don't make it expensive. If you make it expensive, you're all permabanned. No longer has increased any shield. Sure. The Peregrine. It's a better leveling item, but you don't really need accuracy while leveling, so yeah. If you want to, okay, again, if there's something they've announced which is missing in the patch note, it's just they're bad at writing patch notes. It hasn't been nerfed. It's still coming. They just have loads of stuff missing. Don't worry about it. Immortal Flesh. Immortal Flesh is maybe good now. The reason why it's maybe good is, okay, so this is why it's maybe good. It has a lot of reduced fizz damage. It has like half the effect of the old Arctic armor, and just because of that, like this minus, like anything which is minus flat fizz damage is huge, right? Yeah, I know it's a quartz flask. Again, Bedlam. I've been saying it was overpowered for ages. I already thought it was overpowered. Now it's definitely the best life flask in the game. It also gives, this is the effect of like a level, what, 8 clarity or something? So, yeah. It also gives a lot of flat life regen. You want life regen to help sustain for Forbidden Taste, because Forbidden Taste is the new meta. So I think this is actually a really good belt. It's a good belt. Sundance is better. Rainbow Stride didn't need buffing, but it's now, again, they took a lot of items which were good stepping stone items and they've just made them better, so that's something I give. I'm just going to mute myself quickly to clear my throat. 1 second. Back. Sorry about that. The Anvil no longer has reduced movement speed. The builds that use it are still going to use it. This doesn't really change anything. This literally changes nothing. The people who want to use it are still going to use it. A lot of people didn't like using it anyway, because they didn't have life. It's an awkward one. This is actually pretty noticeable. So this is another case of this was a very good stepping stone item from right side of tree. It gave dodge, it gave spell dodge, it gave a lot of evasion. It's like a 2k evasion chest. It's now a 2k evasion chest which has a lot. Thank you for the follow, I appreciate that. Which has a lot of flat damage. A lot of flat damage. So, yeah. This isn't going to be your best in slot, but this is a very nice stepping stone item. Windscream is more usable. Anything which gives you curses is overpowered. This is now really big. The only times you really use Windscream over Doedries is in a case where you want to like have Tri-Curse, Quad-Curse, and you're using both. In case you need particularly unique rings or in any elemental build. The reason why this is important in any elemental build is not only do you get LE damage on the boots themselves, you don't miss out on the wed roll on rings. Lightning Coil still one cares, what's the purpose? Well, this is the thing though, Eldo, is it's like, you use it for like your first character. Lightning Coils are gonna be cheap, but they're probably not gonna be like 1 chaos cheap day 1, day 2, day 3 of the league. That's like an item you can pick up for like an ALC in the first like 2 or 3 days of the league. So, yeah. That's why. Also, it doesn't have the gear requirement behind it. Normally when you buy a Lightning Coil, you can buy a Lightning Coil for very cheap, then you need to have the appropriate jewelry to make up for the resists. So it's not a case of you can just, like, Lightning Coil, it's really easy to build around Lightning Coil. Like, people exaggerate how hard it is to build around. But it's one of those things, if you can't just, like, buy one and throw it on your character. That's time like, you can just buy one for an ALC and throw it on your character. But yeah, Windscream is good. And this is a dangerous buff. The reason why I say it's a dangerous buff is curses are overpowered. Anything which makes cursing easier is dumb. Slither Pinch is still never being used. Dark Scorn, I actually need to check how much of a buff that is. Dark Scorn, we actually made a build around that. We've made a few builds around it. It's not that much of a buff. It's a pretty big buff. The bottom end got buffed by a lot. The top end got a low end. No, that's a pretty big buff. This is a good weapon. You're not going to use this in every build, obviously, but for what it is, it's decent. Anything CI related, you just get 25% Physmit. I recommended that if you were doing any like CI poison shenanigans, that you use this for farming Uber Azaro, like early start of league. Just use this if you're doing any like physical caster, Bladefall, Ethereal Knives, anything like that. You can use this plus the Soul Strike Quiver, and just AFK lab all day, every day, and it's actually legitimately a decent DPS weapon. So yeah, it's good for what it is. It's still very, very niche, but it's something to keep an eye on. Thunder Fist has gone back to its legacy value. This is a very easy 5-link. This will be another item which I would recommend watching. I don't think it's ever going to become amazing. I really don't think it's ever going to become like a whoa meta item. But this is a cheap 5-link. So if you're doing any elemental base build side of the league, you can probably pick these up for less than 5C. No one will notice, and you've just got yourself a 5-link. Because these give you added lightning as well. Level 15, I want to say. Level 15? Level 18 added lightning. Yeah, it's even better. So yeah, it's a cheap 5-link side of the league. Really, really recommend it. Thief's Torment became a lot better. It's still a really niche item. I was talking about this briefly yesterday before my internet cut out, but I miss life gain on hit. Life gain on hit is something I really miss. So people who are new to the game are like, what is life gain on hit? Life gain on hit is a skill gem which was literally in every single build. It was like, are you playing Lightning Arrow? And back then, Lightning Arrow was the build. It's like, are you playing Lightning Arrow? Yeah, I'm playing Lightning Arrow. Life gain on hit is in there. Are you playing Lightning Strike? Yeah, I'm playing Lightning Strike. It's like 2k15. Life gain on hit was in there. People actually used to use life gain on hit. Like, people legitimately used to use it. I want to use life gain on hit again. I really want to use life gain on hit again. And I want, like, an actual, like, usable unique which gives it, or I want them to buff the gem. I was trying to think, like, often you don't really need, like, more than 4 links. And Lightning Arrow Cat, just run across the desk. Chat, Chat loves it. I want to use life gain on head again, basically. It's just I miss it. I really do. Azirius Foible is better at what it did. Cool. Still no one's gonna use this item. This is another Mathel bait item. Buy them at the start of the league. They probably won't ever be too expensive because they're so common. But this is, you just put it in every assassin. If you're playing an assassin, slap this in. I use this in 3 or 4 assassin builds anyway, and I've used this in Inquisitors before. Basically, this is good. Yeah, Diaden Dawn, you guys are jumping ahead, but Diaden Dawn was already best in slot for Burning Arrow. It's now beyond best in slot for Burning Arrow. Okay, so before it gave 20% increased burn speed, which is basically a more multiplier. Now it has 35% for no fucking reason. They just made it ridiculous. But we're jumping ahead of ourselves, chat. Don't do that. Ming's Heart. Ming's Heart is one to watch, depending on how much better it is to get... depending on how much like quality of life gets in general. This is another very easy item to get you into using Forbidden Taste, because Forbidden Taste is the new meta. The reason why I say Marlene's buff didn't really change much, the reason why it does is it means that you can use it with less investment. Before you had to like be very careful to get enough crit, you can now use it in sloppy crit builds, because it doesn't have the drawback. So yeah, this is a good item to watch out for. Vis Mortis is better, sure. Dream Feather did not need buffing. Dream Feather's another item to buy. Mathel said last league he wanted to play a Dream Feather build but never got round to it. So, yeah. Dream Feather was already a good fucking build. It is PogChamp. Okay, I know it still has the less crit chance, right? But who the fuck cares? It has 250% multi on it. You could already use it and it was already a huge DPS increase. You can now use it in builds which have less crit than before because you don't care if you don't crit. It's like, oh no, I didn't crit that one time. Who gives a shit? It's 250 multi, it's huge. This is broken. This is sleeper overpowered. I was looking at this item multiple times last league, going, this is really good. Why isn't anyone using this? And I've actually done some research. Beepity boop, beep boop. This is insane. So, this item was overpowered. I'm saying it. This item was overpowered. Fuck you, chat. This was a broken item. And you guys, what the fuck is Tarke talking about? What does he mean this is a fucking broken item? Okay. So this is what it used to do. It used to give you 20% chaos damage, good evasion and armor, right? 100 life, 100% increased life leech per second. Basically, if you're playing any like Slayer build, which does poison, it was double dipping poison damage, life, and leech. It now gives 80%. I was looking at this for all of last league going, I need to make a build of this. I didn't play enough Slayers. I only played like 2 Slayers last league. So I just never got round to it. So again, this is an item that you buy and you use it and it will be cheap because people are dumb. Buy this at the start of the league, it will be cheap, people are dumb. Use it. It is fucking PogChamp. It is PogChamp. Pogu champion. Malachite is still shit. These are now less bad, but no one cares. Ungles. Cheers, man. Broken Crown is now better. Maloney's, like, is anyone even gonna look at this, man? Attack speed no longer has a range. Like, what does that even mean? Attack speed no longer has a range. Oh, it's just 10%? Yeah, okay. For some reason I thought, like, they had a typo and they were saying, like, the attack speed, like, had a range, like, a physical range, and I was like, what the fuck? So it's just gonna be just 10%. Or some shit. Chance to smoke cloud on hit. No. Like, it doesn't compete with a crit quiver. You can get rare if you're not using drill net, because drill net got nerfed, and you're not using signal fire. You just use a rare crit quiver with 100 life, like 60% crit chance, multi, wed, accuracy, attack speed, insert whatever the fuck you want on it. Like, that's gonna be better, right? It's increased damage, so it double dips. So, you know, it's potentially like 60% double dipping damage is pretty fucking huge. Use it with a Stibnite Flask, so you can realistically use it on bosses. If you're playing a point blank build, if you're playing a point blank poison build, it's more damage than a drill neck, but it doesn't have life on it. It's a situational drill neck, which you'd still just use drill neck. Surge Binders saw use already, they're just better now. I know drill neck got nerfed, like, drill neck is still better. Drill neck is 50% increased damage all of the time, compared to 60% situationally. And drill neck gives you life, and it gives you evasion. And it gives you more flat fizz, if I remember correctly. So, drill neck. If they put life on this, or if they gave it so that the smoke cloud was always active, if it always dropped the smoke cloud, and it had like a cooldown on it, I'd be into that. Wait, Miscellaneous has life? Oh shit! Oh wait, bro, it has chaos damage. Okay, no, fuck you. Sorry. Miscellaneous is broken, it has chaos resist. It has chaos resist. Forbidden Taste is overpowered. This is really good. No, this is, sorry, this is actually really good. It has chaos resist. I did not see that. Okay, this item is broken. It's, okay, legitimately though, it still does not compete with a crit quiver, but it's pretty fucking good. If you're a non-pierce build, so if you're like some chain build, it's good. It'd be decent with like Darkscorn or some shit, yeah. Time Clasp is better, but Shape of Seed is better. Dude, regen, Forbidden Taste, let's go. Budget regen, Forbidden Taste. Restless Fury is better. Bloodplay is better. Deep One's Hide, no one cares about still. Karui Charge, they gutted the attack speed on it because they've added 30% proj damage, so overall I'd say that's a buff. No one cares about zombies. One dude's going to use it. This is just like, I literally Craigasmed for like 2 minutes when I saw this. This is broken. It's best in slot. It's just best in slot. So, yeah, buy these. Winds of Change is more usable, which is nice. It's more usable. Malachi's Loot, no one cares about it. Heretic's Veil got kind of dicked, but you still need it for the reduced mana reservation, so it's still good. Ascent from Flesh, meh. Shaper's Touch. Okay, people need to calm down over these gloves. Now, these are really good gloves, right? These are really, really good gloves. But you need to remember, these are a pain to get hold of. So if you hype them up, by the time people are farming Shaper... Okay, if you're playing hardcore, right? If you're playing hardcore, it takes a while for people to start farming Shaper, right? I can hype up my uniques because my uniques drop at like level 20. Don't hype up your uniques which drop off Shaper. Bad chat. If you hype them up, by the time they're dropping, people know they're good. Shh. Don't do that. That's bad. Right? I can hype up my stuff because my stuff drops at level 20. So I'm going to be okay. Right. Heartbreaker. It's good for budget. These got dicked, both Pyre and Cool. What are you doing, Cat? No one used it for damage, they only used it as like stat sticks. Wake of Destruction is really good for leveling now. I never liked using Wake of Destruction for leveling. I always used to use Lionized Paws. Everyone who used Wake of Destruction for leveling, it was bad at the game because they had no movement speed on it. So, yeah. Now this is better than Lionized Paw for leveling. Lionized Paw does still give you strength. Dream Frag was already a good item. Dream Frag is just a better item now, but it was already a good item. This is like a noob trap item. When I first saw it, I got really excited, but it's a good leveling item. Terminus Est is a very nice budget flicker item now. Don't use it in Raider. Raider doesn't need it, so it's a good like budget assassin flicker build. Ashrend is a good leveling item now. It won't compete with Tabula, but it's still very good. Star of Rayclast. Can't tell if that's a buff or not. Bronze Life. If you're using Bronze Life, then what is life, man? Slash Lorica is better. Cheers for all the follows, by the way. It's really PogChamp. Rim Sorrow is pretty good now because it has 50% conversion up from 25. So if you're playing a Ice Shot build, this plus Rim Burn is 100% conversion, and your stuff ignites. And I'm just saying, if someone out there was to make an Ice Shot build using Rim Burn and Diaden Dawn, then they would always have the Leech active and 35% burn, and they wouldn't do any physical damage, so there'd be no drawback. There would be no drawback, but no one heard that because I faced that way. No one heard that. No one heard you play Ice Shot with Rim Burn and Diaden Dawn. No one's heard that. Okay, let's go. Kalen Holtz. Quill Rain is this is huge for supports. This is very huge for supports. People used to use this for cast on hit setups. This is really good. You can't do mana explosive arrow. Like, you can with Mana Flask. You're still going to need a Mana Flask. Yes, this is Warcraft 3 music. Dark Ray Vectors are more usable. They're still really fucking annoying. Even in a Raider, they're still annoying as hell to use. Dyed Bell is less Dead Bell. Comb's Roots are good now. Basically, this is something you just throw on for Temp Chains maps. Bated Breath is better. This makes sense. It makes sense that this would be the curse item, not Heretic's Veil. Rotgut, I don't know if this is usable or not. Some builds did actually use this before, like Flask builds used to use them. Worm Flask. I think this is usable. This is maybe good. I'm not sure. I think this is good. But it's still niche. It is still niche, but I think it's very usable now. Crew Reward is a better leveling item and harder to take off. It's also a very good item to spam corrupt. So spam corrupt them. I was actually telling people to buy and spam corrupt these in my... Was it my Freeze Pulse or my EK guide? I think it was my EK guide. So now you have just even more reasons to spam corrupt them. Sure. Carnage Heart is really good with Slayer. It has generic double dipping damage. Sure. Star Conjures. I'm going to use this. It was like a decent stepping stone item. It's a good stepping stone item. It's not an even better stepping stone item. It gives a lot of evasion now. So yeah, it's nice. It's not best in slot, but it's nice. You can pick one up for like a chaos, and it's good. I'm going to use it in Queen of the Forest builds. Chalice of Horrors. It's also, this dex is good for anything using Iron Commander, or anything using Shaper's Touch, or whatever. It's good. It's better now. Skullhead is better. Incandescent Heart. If this keeps the any damage taken as chaos, this is really good. This is like a 300 to 350 ES chest. And yeah, this is really good. Good for Zeri farmers. If you know that you're going to be doing content which doesn't have much physical damage, you can afford to lose like 300 flat ES. This is really good. Really, really good. This is going to be another one of those, buy these. These are going to be like, just buy them. They'll be cheap to start with and they'll become more expensive. I don't know how common they are, so I'm not sure if they'll ever become like really expensive, but just buy them. They're good. This is now better. I mean, Southbound. Southbound was already good. Now it's better, so that's cool. Victario's is just like, what the fuck, summoners? Cat. What are you doing? If you hear any, like, if it sounds like there's building work, it's just my cat being a dickhead. Calm down. The Covenant is really good. Really, really good. It's good. Rhyme Gaze is... sure. This I'm actually really hyped about. This isn't going to be, like, overpowered, but Infraction was already a good, like, stepping into mid-tier maps kind of weapon. Start of the league, it was always really good. You could always pick them up really cheap. They're good. This does get affected by the drill neck nerf. The main thing which was bad about it was not being able to sustain your mana, but now you can sustain your mana. And, you know, life gain on hit maybe. I fucking a cat. Stop jumping everywhere. Azeroth's Gentle Touch was... I've always thought this was a like really undervalued item. I constantly use this. They're like really easy to corrupt to get Jewel Curse, Curse on hit. They're amazing leveling gloves, and they're just better. Like, personally, they've just made a good pair of gloves better. So, yeah. Axiom's now really good because it's on a crystal belt and it's just like PogChamp. Cheers to the follow, man. I appreciate it. The Magnate. Sure. Meganon's Vise. Sure. I don't think anyone's going to be using Ambu's Charge, but it's better. Duresto's charge rounds the individual resists. Don't know if it'll really see much use. Same with Chernobog. Don't really know if it... The Enfeeble thing is quite nice. That's quite nice. But not that crazy. Dust Toe, maybe for leveling boots. Getting that chaos damage is pretty juicy. Mjolnir is probably still trash. So, yeah. Does Enhance work with... you can Google that, I'm not entirely sure. Stormheart is... maybe usable, but probably not. Dreadarch, this is just better. Deerstalker, this is really like resident OP. Buy these, cheap 5-link with 30% movement speed. These are already really good as a cheap 5-link, good leveling item, just like good mapping item. The thing which was bad about them was running around in town felt Dan's game. But now they're 30% movement speed beats from 20%, and now you can actually move in town without wanting to kill yourself. So yeah, PogChamp. These are really good, by the way. This is really, really nice. So, yeah. Yeah, we passed Victorious. Victorious is PogChamp, Simon. Vitalitas. It was a decent leveling item. It's now a better leveling item, and it's good in Herald builds. So, yeah. Pretty good. PvP item. No one really cares. Diatus is legitimately a good weapon. Like, that's good. This is probably still not usable. This is probably just a leveling item. Like, early mid-tier item. Drill neck, right, so people have been waiting for me to get to drill neck. Drill neck has been, thanks to the fires, drill neck has been best in slot for such a long time now. I'm kind of glad that it got nerfed. In all honesty, I'm kind of glad that it got nerfed. It was too good. It was too good. Is this going to affect the builds that use it? Obviously, right? Dennis was a good weapon last match. Yeah, I know it was. Like, again, like they took a good weapon and made it better. The thing which does bother me about drill neck is in a world where double dipping is dead, I feel like it will be very undershadowed by crit quivers. The main issue, like, this is the thing, right? So they dicked on drill neck, but they still haven't buffed chain or fork. So you've gone too many people playing Pierce builds, guys. Too many people are playing Pierce builds, yeah? Too many people. Okay. Are we gonna buff chain? No. Are we gonna buff fork? No. No one's gonna fucking, like, this... Okay, the only thing this affects is burning arrow builds. Because burning arrow builds were choosing between signal fire and drill neck. Now they just go signal fire. So, pierce is still the best thing. You still use this quiver. It's just less of it. Like, you're still going pierce, and in 80% of cases, this is still going to be the best pierce quiver. Right? So, yeah. You're still using this. But now the builds which want to use signal fire feel better about using signal fire. So, yeah. If you thought about using signal fire, you now just use signal fire over this. And everything else still just use drill neck. And then for the guys playing Deadeye free chain, you still just use a rare crit quiver. And yeah, you can potentially use Maloney's instead of drill neck. But, like, people are still going to be playing Pierce because Pierce is still the best of chain and fork. So, yeah. It doesn't actually... This is a nerf which doesn't actually change anything. If that makes sense. This doesn't actually change anything. Which is dumb. So, it's a dumb nerf. Because it doesn't change the meta. Belt of the Deceiver, sure. It was an MTX at best. It's now a better MTX. So, sure. Victoria's Flight is a good leveling item, really nice in party play. Piscator's was already a decent item, it's now a better item. It's not PogChamp, but it's just like whatever. Nomic Storm, who cares? Coruscating Elixir. Okay. It's good for the builds which use it. Okay, I know that this has a 10% more multi on it, right? I know it has 10% more multi, but this is what you guys aren't understanding, right? Just because we've added damage to a belt doesn't mean it's a good belt. 40 life. I know it's a more multi, but life. Life builds struggle. Like, you're not using this in a CI build, right? You're only using this in life builds. And I know it's a leveling belt, but what you've done is you've taken a leveling belt and made it a slightly better leveling belt. Right. And it's nearby enemies. Okay. The thing which is good on it is this. This is the good thing. Reduced crit damage. Stops you getting from randomly one shot. But, you know, it also stops you from getting randomly one shot. Like, 100 life. 100 life is pretty fucking good. I would still rather have a 100 life belt. So, it's better, but Okay, when I say earlier, right, if something has 30-40 life, it's good. I'm talking about on, like, a ring. Or, like, on a pair of gloves. I'm not talking about the fucking slot which gives you the most life. Belts have always been the slot which gives you the most fucking life. Right? Because it's like, you equip a belt, and it's like 150, like, flat life and strength. And if you, like, go on, you get, like, haha, PogChamp. Right? It's decent for leveling, but I don't think you're going to see this in any, like, endgame builds. And in all honesty, that's all that really matters. And it's nearby enemies, so you can't even use this in range builds. Like, you have to be playing melee. I'd much rather use Immortal Flesh. Like, yeah. And again, nearby enemies. So that's a shit range. Like, you're playing, like, actual melee. You're not playing Earthquake melee, you're playing, like, melee. Right? It really isn't that crazy. Brain Rattle is better. Kingmaker is good now. Essentially good. Zana changes. I'm not sure about these Zana changes. They're kind of boring, but they make sense. Basically, you make the maps actually harder by increasing the damage numbers and the life numbers, and you get more quantum rarity. It makes a lot of sense. It's just boring. I'm not going to sit and read through it all. Bug fixes. They fix some bugs. So, yeah. Right. Now, through all of that, I made a quick list of items which I'm interested in. So these are the items I'm interested in. Hey, Destroyer. These are the items that I need to, like, sit and evaluate. Now, this is like I made it yesterday. Right. The Rat Cage. I think this has its use somewhere. I can see it being used in a build. The Coop of All is just really good now. Sybil's Lament, for the builds that use it, it just got better. The Restless Ward, again, I'm telling you, like, the Restless Ward and Dresser's Defiance are both, like, really nice starter items. Forbidden Taste is best in slot. Immortal Flesh is a nice starter item. Hero is a nice starter item. Windscream is huge. Marlene's Fallacy is huge. Dream Feather is huge. Cherubiums is huge. Laden Dawn is huge. Wake of Destruction is a nice leveling item now. Dream Fragments is huge. Ashrend is the leveling item. Rim Sorrow is potentially huge. Rot Gut is maybe good. I'm not sure. Fury Ward is potentially huge for easy +1 curses. Carnage Heart is nice for the builds that want to use it. It's very nice because it gives double dipping generic damage. Star Conjures, I'm gonna say this is a big improvement. If you're doing any Queen of the Forest build, this will give you like 700 evasion and 100 life and a little bit of crit. And when you go into low life, you get 100% more evasion. It's like a global evasion increase or some shit. So it's like you ever go low, like it's good. Infractorum, this is a very nice map change, like early mapping. Azonoth, that's huge. Drill Neck is obviously a huge downside. These are the builds which these are the items which directly affect the builds I frequently play. There are other very powerful items in here, but those are the ones which directly affect the builds that I was sort of thinking about. But yes. Incandescent Heart, again, I'm saying Incandescent Heart is overpowered. I've said this multiple times. It's just, it's not really going to affect the builds I'm planning on. Those are the items that I'm keeping my eye on. Yeah. So, I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye. That was just for the YouTube guys. Don't worry about it.